Hello everybody out there watching on YouTube, and welcome to race number 15 of Season 4 of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I'm Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the LENOX Industrial Tools 300 here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, as we're getting set for 42 laps of racing here at the Magic Mile. But before we look at the starting lineup, we gotta take a look at the point standings coming into the race today. So after last week at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, Chris Dollarton took the points lead over, and he leads by 4 points over William Brock. Third is James McLeod, fourth Sean Galligan, fifth is James Quall, sixth is Joshua Sekuli, seventh Trent Dunham, eighth Dylan Poteet, ninth Dylan Thoreau, 10th Jessica Shelton, 11th Peachy London, and then 12th is Dylan Young. Currently the wild card driver, Zach Flickinger, still with the 2 wins, has 1 spot, but then the next one would go to Jay Jefferson for being the highest outside the top 12, inside the top 30 with a win. Still plenty of time for other drivers to try and make or break their season. But let's take a look at the starting lineup for this race today. Starting in the last row is Zachary Fitzwater, Kyle Matthews. Top 10, Dylan Young is on the pole for today. Starting next to him is Dylan Thoreau. So we got another Dylan front row like last week. Row 2 is Carson Gum, Johnny Gardner. Row 3, Tim Fiegel, Alex Gray. Row 4, Dylan Poteet, Emmanuel Hartnett. And then row 5, Jonathan Zorline and James Richardson. With that said, let's get the command to fire engines for the LENOX Industrial Tools 300 at New Hampshire.
Drivers, start your engines!
Time to get this first pace lap out of the way. But yes, with this racetrack, with New Hampshire being the way it is, we have seen in the previous times we've been at this racetrack, we do see a good amount of passing, but then the leader, once they get checked out, they'll check out for a little bit. But also you got to keep in mind pit strategy. Pit strategy can easily change the outcome of this race. So if you dominated in the first half of the race and end up not having a great pit stop, you could easily lose the race by a bad pit stop. Pace car pulling in the pit road, so you all know what time it is, do you? It's time to boogity 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 go racing! Dylan Thoreau actually led the first lap, and he utilized the outside lane in turns 1 and 2. That or Dylan Young just did not really get going into the corners, and Dylan Thoreau was ready to go. Because I kind of noticed, well then again I saw it looked like Alex Gray was able to use the outside. Let's stay with Alex Gray and watch him race with Tim Fiegel to see what line really does prevail. Let's go to the helicopter view, and yeah, the outside lane gets the bigger run off of turn 2, but as we're going to see here in 3 and 4, it looks like pretty much relatively even, although Alex Gray's still hanging on the outside. But we're going to watch this again. Fiegel getting a nice smooth run out of the corner. But then again, the speed difference on the outside is what's going to keep the 50 side by side with the 8. But yeah, if you can make the bottom work, you can for sure take spots away from other drivers. Meanwhile, back up here at the front, Dylan Thoreau has a slim lead over Dylan Young by, last time by, a little over 0.3 of a second. As Dylan Young not only is trying to catch up to Dylan Thoreau, but also trying to keep Johnny Gardner, who's right behind him, from trying to go on around. And in fact, the last time by, Johnny Gardner pretty much stayed at even pace with the leader, Dylan Thoreau. In fact, lap times, although Gardner was 0.7 of a second faster, still relatively even, and the caution is out, as there was a wreck here on the front stretch that took place. Lucky break for some of these drivers who started to lose ground. Let's see who was in this. Looks like it might have been Zach Flickinger, but I don't see any damage on his race car. Oh, but they're piling into each other. That's not good. William Brock, I see, with damage. So too does Chris Dollarton. That's top 2 in points right there. Damaged as a result of piling into each other when slowing up to take the caution. So initially I thought there were no cars damaged, and now we got cars damaged as a result. Majority of the field decided to come in the pit road, and quite a few decided to stay out, and that's Alex Gray. Alex Gray with the race lead now, as we're going to go ahead and take a look at the replay of what brought the caution out for the first time today here at New Hampshire. Well, this wreck's going to start coming out of turn number 4 as Dorian Facepuncher is trying to stay on the bottom, and it looked like just Zach Flickinger just got kind of sandwiched in between Preston Plord and Dorian Facepuncher, and while Flickinger did get the outside wall a little bit, and Preston Plord actually managed to just go sideways and keep on going, nobody hit the 49, so we luckily got away at that moment with just a one-car major spin, and no damage, major damage on any of those cars. But then again, 2 cars got big damage on the front ends as a result of running into each other under caution, and they were the top 2 in points, Dollarton and Brock. But we're going to go ahead and take you to the restart here at New Hampshire. No cars retired out of the race after all that, so all 42 cars still on track. A lot of people stayed out, but a lot of people came into pit road, so we're going to see who stayed out. Starting with the leader, who is Alex Gray right now. 2nd, DJ Curtis. 3rd, Jay Jefferson. 4th, Paul Minnick. 5th, Jessica Shelton. 6th, Joshua Sekuli. 7th, Trent Dunham. 8th, Joshua Collard. 9th, James Shelley. 10th, Pichu London. 11th is Zachary Fitzwater. 12th is Matt Haas. 13th, Dylan Thoreau. 14th, James McLeod. 15th, Jonathan Zorling. 16th, Dylan Young. 17th, Tim Fiegel. 18th, Emmanuel Hartnett. 19th, James Richardson. 20th, Johnny Gardner. Rest of the field is Dylan Potee, Charles Sanford, Dougie Shears, Brandon Gonzalez, Seth Cole, Dylan Jacobs, William Brock, Cody Lamas, Carson Gum, Dorian Facepuncher, Jake Rogers, Preston Plord, Anthony McCurry, James Qualls, Chris Dollarton, William Duncan, Rafael Leduc with no hood, Kyle Matthews, Matt McIntyre, Zach Flickinger, Richard Johnson, and Sean Galligan. Quite a few cars without a hood, so there must have been a stack-up of cars trying to get on pit road. And also I see a lot of left side damage on Paul Minnick's car, but it doesn't really look like it's affecting him speed-wise too much. Meanwhile, up here at the front, DJ Curtis looking to reel in Alex Gray for the race lead. As when we get to the line, it'll be 30 laps to go. Still a long ways to go for a lot of these drivers to make something work. DJ Curtis was to the back bumper of Alex Gray, and now he's starting to reel him back in. He managed to get a big run through turns 3 and 4. However, he did lose 100th of a second that last lap, but he's still keeping pace with the 50. Meanwhile, Jay Jefferson trying to catch up to those guys, but also keep everyone behind them at bay. You can definitely see this time by Alex Gray got the bigger run off of turn 4 for sure. As the margin now has grown to nearly 0.3 of a second, almost doubled the margin. Meanwhile, back here, a battle rages on for the 5th position between Trent Dunham and Jessica Shelton and Joshua Collard, all battling up here. Collard with the run underneath Shelton. That would be for the 6th position now, as Trent has cleared both of those cars. Back up here at the front, DJ Curtis starting to reel back in Alex Gray. And also Jay Jefferson perhaps starting to reel in both of the guys in front of him. Keeping our eyes here on DJ Curtis to see if he can get a bigger run here in turns 3 and 4 to get up to the back bumper of the 50 of Alex Gray. It looks about relatively the same. Let's see the margin now. It actually grew a little bit for Alex Gray, back to 0.2 of a second. Meanwhile, Jay Jefferson is reeling them in. He gained 1/10.5 on that last lap. Alex Gray, who's already won a race this season, and I'm trying to remember where that race was, in fact, where he did win. And my mind is blanking right now. Battle on for 4th between Paul Minnick and Trent Dunham. Trent Dunham, who had already cleared Jessica Shelton several laps ago to take the 5th position. Now he's trying to move his way up even further. While he's running on the bottom, Minnick does get that big run on the outside. Trent now looks like he will clear the 9. And now you're kind of starting to see the bottom lane prevail more off of turn 2 than we saw at the beginning of the race. As now Collard has actually gone by Minnick. That would have been for 5th, and now Minnick's under attack from 3rd in points, James McLeod. And James McLeod, I'm not sure if he pitted or not. Dylan Young, I know for sure, did pit, and he restarted around 17th, 18th, and has now moved himself back up into the top 10. Dylan Young, who started on the pole, is now trying to slowly but surely work his way back up through the field. Meanwhile, a battle on for 2nd. Jay Jefferson looks like he will clear DJ Curtis for that position, and that actually helps to bring Trent Dunham up to DJ Curtis to battle for 3rd. Trent Dunham has been moving up through the field little by little. Oh, but some of those cars who stayed out are coming into pit road. That's huge. William Brock would look like he was the first one to come in. So now it's only a matter of time for some of these guys up here at the front of the field to come in. Like Alex Gray, he hasn't pitted yet this race. But I think... Oh, but the caution is out! That was a timely caution for a lot of these guys running still. Caution comes out past the halfway point. And it looks like Preston Plord was caught up in it yet again, because he's got rear end damage this time. Rear end damage for Zach Flickinger as well. And hard to tell, I think it might have been on the front stretch again. But yeah, that was a timely caution for these drivers that stayed out. So now they can all come into pit road and pretty much top off and continue the race the rest of the way, since we're now past halfway. And we started seeing those green flag pit stops take place around halfway. So we should be, so most of these drivers should be good to go on gas. Although we're going to have quite a few cars a lap down as a result of all this. But then again, it looks like these cars right here, looks like these four cars, actually these 5 cars, Zorline, Rogers, Jacobs, Brock, McLeod, Haas, looks like they're going to be able to get back on the lead lap, but I think they're going to end up restarting in front of the leader, so they're going to have to hope for another caution to get back around. But we're going to go ahead and take you to the replay of what brought the caution out for the second time today here at New Hampshire. Well, all this starts as a congestion with drivers because some cars slow down for others to come into pit road. And right here, Preston Plord comes up into James Qualls and then up in the Rafael LeDuc, and then Preston goes for a spin. So too does the 77, and he actually gets hit by James Qualls. And there's where Zach Flickinger got his rear end damage, was from Chris Dollarton. So that buckle on the front end got bigger for the 22, the points leader coming into the race. So front stretch is pretty much calamity stretch here at New Hampshire, as we're going to go ahead and take you to the restart once again here at New Hampshire. Well, during that replay, there was a lot of issues. Some drivers actually ran out of gas and caused a major problem for the leaders. So, and one car did retire because of no fuel, and that was Emmanuel Hartnett. But the leader is supposed to be Dylan Young. However, all these drivers are towards the back of the field, as we're going to have a very, very weird restart here. Green flag is back out, but only 4 drivers are up here on the front stretch, and now things are getting underway. And I guess according to scoring, they're going to give the lead over to DJ Curtis, even though Dylan Young should be the race leader because he got the lead as a result of everyone coming into pit road. So I'm not sure what NNSCRA's ruling was for this. It should be Dylan Young as the race leader. But DJ Curtis is slowing down to come into pit road. Perhaps there was problems because of that caution. Perhaps some of the pit crews didn't get all the fuel into the cars. I don't know, but a very, very confusing situation here at New Hampshire for a lot of drivers. A lot of drivers ran out of gas, and you can tell who they are because they're a lap or more down. And because of that, it caused a major congestion with a lot of drivers that were in the lead to have now lost the lead because they somehow just weren't allowed to keep up the pacing because they had to slow down to keep from hitting some of those cars that were out of gas. But now the lead gets handed over to Joshua Sekuli as a result of all that chaos under caution. Although the 82 of Sekuli's going to have a challenger, perhaps, and that's James Shelley in the 71. But then you got Jessica Shelton, who's the first... actually, no, Shelley's actually a lap down, so too is Shelton. So you got 2 cars who are a lap down trying to get on around. Sekuli and the caution is out again. Looks like it's time for an accident on the backstretch. And it might have been Dorian Facepuncher, because I seen sparks coming from underneath his car. But hopefully we don't get another problem like we had before. But the caution comes out for the 3rd time, so we're going to take you to the replay to see what brought the caution out for the 3rd time today here at New Hampshire. Well, this accident starts right here off of turn 2, as right there James Richardson hooks Seth Cole, and as Seth Cole slides down, collects Dorian Facepuncher. Seth Cole manages to get it back going straight without no problem. But look at Dorian Facepuncher. He was heading towards that inside wall and the tire walls. Good evasive maneuver to avoid all that. But then he's going to try and get back onto the racetrack, but he's still through the grass, which is very, very slick down there. He comes back up into the racetrack, gets in the Fitzwater just a little bit, and he gets sideways, goes for a side spin, but then he manages to get it back straight. Seth Cole managed to get it back straight, so no real major issue here. But hopefully, after this caution is now out, hopefully the field can get sorted out as a result of all this craziness. So let's find out here at New Hampshire. Still only one car out of the race, and that's Emmanuel Hartnett for apparently no fuel, and that's about like the 4th time that's happened. But field, as we get set to go back to green with 8 laps to go, Joshua Sekuli is your leader, 2nd Tim Fiegel, 3rd Dylan Young, 4th Dougie Shears, 5th Pichu London, 6th Paul Minnick, 7th Brandon Gonzalez, 8th Dylan Thoreau, 9th Trent Dunham, 10th Dylan Poteet. Rest of the top 20 is Carson Gum, James Richardson, Johnny Gardner, Matt McIntyre, Anthony McCrory, Richard Johnson, Charles Sanford, Kyle Matthews, James Qualls, William Duncan, and then it's Preston Plord, Sean Galligan, Zach Flickinger, Seth Cole, Cody Lamas, Chris Dollarton, Jay Jefferson, Dorian Facepuncher, William Brock, Matt Haas. I keep hitting the wrong button. And then the last car on the lead lap is Joshua Collard as the green flag is back out. You gotta wonder, I thought they were going to attempt 3 wide. Those lap cars and between the top 2 are trying to also get their laps back, but also try and get out of the way of the guys in 2nd. But it's going to be an interesting task. Right now they're not prevailing as the 82 starting to pull away again. Like I said, Dylan Young should be the race leader because of the fact that he got out of the pits first during not the last caution, but the caution before. But something went wrong with the officiating of the NNSCRA to the point where they gave the lead earlier to DJ Curtis. Still confused as to why Sekuli is the race leader right now. Like I said, it should be Dylan Young, but nonetheless, Sekuli ought to thank the officiating issues for this. But meanwhile, James Shelley, who is the first car a lap down, trying to figure out a way around the 82, but nothing's really working out well for him. Meanwhile, the best battle going on the racetrack is battle for 2nd between Tim Fiegel, Dougie Shears, and now Shelley's got an inside run on Sekuli. If he can keep the 82 on the outside, that could help. That could be big help for guys like Fiegel, Shears, and Young to try and catch up to the 82. However, the 82 now is still trying to clear Shelley, as meanwhile this battle for 2nd continues. Dougie Shears trying to take that spot from Tim Fiegel as Dylan Young's maybe waiting to time his move to go on by both of them. Three laps to go here in New Hampshire, and like I said, I am still confused as to why Sekuli's up here at the front. And like I said, it should be this guy, Dylan Young, in the lead because of him coming out of the pits first on the 2nd caution. But because of a lot of drivers who stayed out and ran out of gas on the racetrack and it caused a stack up, for some reason they gave the lead over at the time to DJ Curtis, but now it's given to Sekuli. 2 laps to go. About a half a second separates the top 2. Dougie Shears, he's got a lot of work if he's going to try and go for the win. And he is Sekuli's teammate, but right now it is top 2 Red Bull Racing. So even if Shears doesn't get to his teammate, it's still a great day for that team overall as the white flag is out. 0.6 of a second separating the top 2. Sekuli still has Shelley on his back bumper, but he's a lap down, so it doesn't matter. As we're coming out of turn 4 for the final time, despite some terrible officiating, Joshua Sekuli wins the LENOX Industrial Tools 300 at New Hampshire. Sekuli's first win of the season and his first for Red Bull Racing. But like I said, Sekuli ought to thank the NNSCRA officials for that screw-up. Otherwise, he would not have won this race. But nonetheless, still a great job for that 82 team. As now let's look at the rest of the results. Sekuli's teammate, Dougie Shears, comes through with a second place finish, making it a top 2 Red Bull Racing finish. Tim Fiegel gets a much-needed run of third. Dylan Young, in my opinion, should be the winner because he should have been the leader. But like I said, due to a screw-up, he gets screwed over, but still gets a great run in fourth. And then Pichu London rounding out the top 5 with a great run in fifth. Solid performance for Dylan Thoreau in the 6th position. Matt McIntyre finishing out 7th. Brandon Gonzalez, the highest finishing rookie, in 8th. Carson Gum definitely needed a great run. He's been on a downward spiral for the past few races. Comes back, gets a 9th place finish, and then Richard Johnson rounds out the top 10. Rest of the top 20 was Trent Dunham, Paul Minnick, James Richardson, Anthony McCrory, Dylan Poteet, Johnny Gardner, Zach Flickinger, Preston Plord, Charles Sanford, James Qualls. Rest of the top 30 was Kyle Matthews, William Duncan, Seth Cole, Sean Galligan, Dorian Facepuncher, William Brock, Joshua Collard, Matt Haas, Cody Lamas, and Chris Dollarton. Everyone else was a lap down or more, and they were James Shelley, Jessica Shelton, Zachary Fitzwater, DJ Curtis, Rafael Leduc, Jay Jefferson, Alex Gray, Dylan Jacobs, Jake Rogers, Jonathan Zorline, then James McLeod, and then only one car out of the race due to no fuel, which is still a weird thing, and that was Emmanuel Hartnett. But that does it for our coverage here today at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Next week, we head to our second short track of the season. We head to Iowa. But until then, here are your results, rookie points, and regular points heading into Iowa. And this is Levi McIntyre, signing off.